Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Angry Dave podcast. I'm Dave, and I'm here with my next guest. He will be known as Joey Numbers. Joe, introduce yourself.
Apparently, I'm Joey Numbers. I just want to know who's in charge of the nicknames.
Me.
Oh, okay.
There's it's a one-stop shop.
There's no team.
There's no team, and it takes about 3 minutes. So I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Okay.
It's the
Yeah.
first thing I could think of.
I am Joey Numbers. Apparently. Yeah. That's me.
Joe, we know each other for I don't know, 30 years, 35 years, something like that.
It's over 30 years for sure.
You started going out with Stephanie. I guess that's when I met you.
Correct. It
And
was summer of '96. I started dating Stephanie.
all right, so I was a sophomore or a freshman in college,
Yep.
and you started dating Stephanie. And how old were you at that time?
16,
16. And Steph was how old?
17.
Ooh,
Cradle robber.
look at that. And Stephanie, which you guys will find out, she'll be the next episode. But Stephanie and I have known each other forever. She was almost like my little sister. Our dads were best friends, so that's how we know each other. So, you have any Angry Dave stories you want to tell before we start with you?
It's funny. I have heard a lot of Angry Dave stories. I was almost witness to an Angry Dave story, but I just missed it. So I guess that's as close as I can get. Was
Which one are we talking about here?
it would have been New Year's Eve, 2000, right? So, Y2K, everybody's worried about computers all crashing. You had a huge party.
Yep.
Stephanie's father was DJing.
Right.
There was people on speakers. It was a fantastic time.
Yeah, we had a great time.
And I was completely drunk. And there is a lot of Dave stories that involve drinking for me, apparently. I think most of my formative alcohol consumption started with you.
Yeah.
That's something I guess you should be proud of. But yeah, it was a very, very fun night, and things were starting to get a little heated. I was sliding down the wall, as I remember. I was leaning up against the wall, so drunk that I couldn't stand. So I was sliding down, and I think Stephanie looked at me and said, "All right, I think it's time to go." So
Were you there when things start getting a little bit heated, like amongst? Well, the short story of this Angry Dave story is that we had this big party. At the end of the night, my family gets in a fight with my roommates.
yes, that is correct.
So that's what happened.
There was a face grabbed, and then someone was thrown out the door. Is the short
Yeah.
version that I heard.
Yeah. Well, were you there for any of that?
I,
And
I was there when it really started to amp up, and I think that's when Stephanie said, "All right, let's
it's
go."
time to go home.
It's
I think I might have told you guys.
yeah,
I think yeah. Why don't you guys leave?
shit's hitting the fan. It's time to go.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to give a little bit of the story. I knew this was eventually going to come up, and then Joe and I had talked about it, so I expected him to talk a little bit about this. So I'm having this party. We have a great fucking time. I mean, it was a great time, and it's probably 2, 3 in the morning at this point. Some of my family members come over. There's a history between my family and my roommate's girlfriend. Not really her, but her sister. Long story, not important, but they get into some kind of verbal altercation at the top of the steps. I don't see what's going on. There's like a scuffle. My Uncle John, who's my mom's brother, breaks that scuffle up. As we're breaking that scuffle up, there's another scuffle at the front door because my friend's girlfriend's husband showed up and he was pissed off because their kid was there. We broke that scuffle up. And then my mom wakes up. She was sleeping up in my bedroom. She had work the next day. She gets to the top of the steps. She starts yelling at my aunts and my one aunt's boyfriend and blaming them for everything. And my mother was sleeping the whole time, so she had no idea what was going on. So now I'm trying to calm her down, shut her up. My Uncle John's standing in between. My aunt's boyfriend, she starts yelling at him. He takes offense to it. He balls up his fist and he starts charging to my mother.
Yep, and that's what I had heard.
So before this, I was just asking everybody to go home. I was trying to maintain my calm. I was really doing a very good job of it, Joe. I really was. I'm like, everybody just go home. The night's over. Please just go home. These guys, cops are going to get called. Somebody's going to go to jail. Please just go home. He starts charging for my mother, and I grabbed him by the face and
The face, yeah,
I
that's it.
threw him to the front door. I might have banged his head against the ground about 15 times, and then I start wailing on. It was bad. It was so bad that my Uncle John, who is a crazy person, said, "Dave, you have to get off him. You're going to kill him." So that was actually that's one of the worst angry Dave stories because I saw red and it was over.
Glad to bring it up.
Thank you. Fuck. Oh my God, I think my answer. Listen to this. We didn't talk for a long time after that, but we made up. I love you. I love you guys. All right, so let's talk about you.
Yeah, back to me. Yeah,
Back to you.
sure.
All right, so tell me it starts out. You grew up in South Philly.
I grew up in South Philly,
What year were you born?
1980.
And you have an older brother.
I have one older brother.
How old is he?
He is 46 now.
So he's a year younger than me. So he was born in what, 77?
76.
76.
December 76.
All right. So yeah, the end of the year.
Yep,
Okay. And you have mom and dad, correct?
correct.
And tell me about growing up, early life. What was it like?
You know, I it was really funny listening in on everybody having their talks and about their family. I had a very easy going childhood. Both my parents both worked. They had a business. It was my maternal great grandparents that started the store, a little corner grocery store,
Yeah.
and a lot of time spent there. Most of my memories are of being in that store. And my dad worked his ass off. He worked 14 hours a day,
Yeah.
6 days a week. He tells that to people now, and of course they kind of roll their eyes about it. But it was the truth. He did. He
Yeah.
worked his ass off. But it was good. It really was. I mean, I went to Catholic school right around the corner. I had no complaints, really.
What your first memory that you have?
First memory. I don't know. I mean, I was in the store all the time. Without question, I spent hours upon hours in and around that store, either in the store or in the neighborhood around the store. Everybody knew me because of my parents.
Yeah. Did you start working early there?
I did actually. I was 11 years old when I started working in the store.
And what were you doing there at that time?
Bringing people up, stocking, delivering, you name it.
Whatever you had to do.
Yep,
Small grocery store, lunch meat,
yep,
small sandwiches.
yep, yep,
Yeah, like an old time South Philly grocery store.
yep.
You and your brother both didn't want to do that. Is there a reason that you didn't want to be a part of it?
My father made it abundantly clear that he did not want either of us to work in that store. It was, you know what it was? It was good during the 80s,
Yeah,
but the 90s came. There was a butcher shop right across the store that closed up, and the store took a real beating. So bad, so much so that they were really worried about keeping it open. They made some changes that my mother's father was not happy about, but he went along with it. I mean, it was his business.
right,
My parents took it over. They made a lot of changes. It was able to recover, but 90s into the 2000s, it was okay, but it wasn't what it was.
right.
So it wasn't a sustainable thing to raise a family on.
And large effect from the grocery store, like the large grocery
Oh
stores,
yeah,
the big box stores.
big time. It was a convenience store. They didn't like that term convenience store, but
Right.
it was. People would go to the Acmes or the big supermarkets, to do the bulk of their shopping, and then or they would go over to my parents' place to get some odds and ends.
Yeah. I guess that they were sort of they were one of the ones that lasted the longest though, don't you think?
Yeah, they were there till 2014, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was a corner grocery store everywhere in South Philly in the
Yep.
80s. So I'm sure in the 70s as well. But then once those like Acme and Pathmark and a lot of these big stores came and start doing all those, even some of the specialty items, it was hard. It was hard to compete.
Yeah, it was, but, yeah, he did not want that for either of us, and my brother my brother made no bones about it. Like, I used to kinda toss around the idea of taking it over.
Yeah.
My brother was he was abundantly clear, "This is not for me." Yeah, so,
What were you like as a small kid, like middle school?
I don't wanna say awkward, but, I certainly I was on the smaller end because I was born in January of '80, and I got put in with kids that were all from 1979.
Oh, wow.
So I wasn't, like, super young for my grade, but I was definitely younger. My
Right.
mom was really excited about getting me in at that time. I don't know why. She made it a point to tell me
Yeah.
that I made sure you got in earlier. I said that didn't do me any favors, just an
Yeah.
FYI.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they don't even allow that anymore.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And how about like a favorite memory from that time?
I used to spend a lot of time with my mother's father, in his basement. He was a carpenter by trade, and he was a finished carpenter. He took over the store because he needed to.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time downstairs with him in the basement while he was a fantastic woodworker, and I did. It was a really, really, really good memories of him trying to pass things on to me.
Just tinkering and
Yeah, yeah, he was amazing with his hands. He should have been an engineer. He just wasn't educated in that way.
was he patient with you?
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he was. My father probably could have taken a lesson from my mom's dad on patience, but my grandfather was very patient.
Yeah. You know, there's a plenty of stories of me and my dad. And, my dad was a carpenter
Mhm.
and super talented with his hands, but there was just every chance that we got to do any of that together was just a fucking shit show.
Yeah, disaster. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you probably have been witness to some of those.
a couple.
Yeah, yeah, it just never worked out.
Yeah.
So, all right, tell me about coming into high school. What do you like then?
Come high school, I went to an all boys Catholic high school. Went to Roman, and while most of the guys I went to school with went to Newman,
Right.
and my brother went to Roman. It seemed like something different. I wanted to try something different.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. That was 4 years that I really enjoyed. It was a time you didn't have to think about, it sounds terrible, when you're at that age, all you care about is girls, but when you're at school and you don't have to even think about it,
Yeah.
it's kind of it's kind of liberating.
Yeah. You do well in school? Did you do well in school?
And you know what? I was probably average in grade school. I was probably above average in high school. I found myself to be bored
Yeah.
by the academic experience. If I sat down and did work, like I, took SATs, and it was like a joke to me
Yeah.
because I was like, standardized tests. I don't care about this. But I
Right.
want to say it was like mid 12s when I took them, when they act, when that was, it mattered, you had to have your SATs.
Right.
But I didn't put a lot of thought into it,
Yeah.
but I wasn't like a super academic.
Right. How as a child? What were your parents say about you during that time? Like as a high school kid, grade school kid?
Mouthy,
Yeah.
know it all.
Huh.
As far as I was concerned, my parents, all they ever did was run a business.
Yeah.
They never left South Philly, and what could they know? They don't know shit. On the other hand, I'm obviously smarter than all of them,
Right.
so I'm clearly going to excel at anything I do.
Okay.
Basic, just a jerk,
Yeah. You didn't get in any trouble though, did you?
not really. Like there was one incident of trouble,
Ooh.
just one.
Let
All
me hear
kidding aside, like official trouble, put it that way,
it. All right. Let me
that
hear
I got locked up for. Like who didn't get locked up for underage drinking in South Philly?
it.
I wasn't even drinking that night.
Yeah.
And we all got locked. 3 guys, we got locked up. I was as sober as it could be, and I got it the worst. There's no doubt about it. My parents were really strict,
Yeah.
so I really didn't get into trouble much at all.
Uh, how about as a little brother? Were you a pain in the
Oh
ass?
my god, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I was awful. Yeah, my brother, he didn't pick on me. He really didn't. He was just kind of doing his own thing. He was in his own little world. I would just irk the shit out of him,
Yeah.
no doubt.
So wait, you 96, you're in what grade?
96, I'm a junior.
You're a junior. You met Stephanie, she was a senior.
Oh no, she was a junior as
She
well.
was a junior.
Yeah, because I was in early,
Oh, right.
quote unquote.
You guys graduated the same year.
Correct, 1997.
Gotcha. So talk to me about that meeting her. How did that happen?
Buddy of mine that I've known since I was probably 5. He's godfather to both my kids. Started dating a girl. They're all working at Boston Chicken down at Front Street.
Yep.
Um, So we went to go meet this girl that he started dating, and we walked up to the steps, and Stephanie comes down the steps, and I'm like, this girl doesn't look anything like he just described his girlfriend as. And it was like, didn't give her, it wasn't even like I looked at her like, oh, she's cute. It was just like, who's this?
Right.
Oh, this is Stephanie. I work with her. And that was it. I never gave it a minute of thought
Yeah.
of, hey, she's cute. Maybe I'll talk to her. Just that was it. Yeah, and they met on a doorstep. That's the story she'll tell everybody. And yeah, just be friends.
Your friends, and then eventually.
So we met up at like, I don't remember where we were. I want to say maybe it was. She'll probably tell it right, but I want to say we went to Egypt. Everybody, you remember
Club
Egypt?
Egypt.
Club Egypt.
Uh, uh, uh,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. And she was, as far as I knew, dating somebody else.
uh-huh.
And my buddy Mark said to me, "Hey, what do you think of Stephanie?" I said, "Oh, she's cute, whatever." And again, I didn't give it any thought because I wasn't the kind of guy that would do that if I knew somebody was dating somebody.
Right.
He said, "Well, she likes you, why don't you go over and talk to her?" I said, "What about her? What about her boyfriend? Isn't she?" Yeah, it's not her boyfriend. Meanwhile, The story I tell everybody is that she was dating 4 people at the same time.
That's right. Mhm.
True story. 4 people at the same time,
Right.
and I made an ultimatum. Everybody goes, but if you want to be with me, and that's it. Of course, this version of the story will be different when she tells it, but that's the story I tell everybody. And yeah, and we just started, started seeing each other. We really hit it off.
So you graduate in 97 and you go to
Penn,
Temple?
Penn
Where'd you
State.
Penn State. Did you go away?
I did not. No,
Okay.
I think you had somebody on who mentioned Penn State Brandywine,
Yes.
and I went to the same campus when it was Penn State Delco,
Oh,
Penn
got
State
it.
Delaware County, and then they rebranded it for whatever reason.
Right. Yeah, because it sounds better.
Yeah, well, you know what it was? It was always in my head. Maybe I would go away.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Right.
It was it was really important to my parents that I went to school and
Yeah.
get an education, get a degree, and do something that didn't involve working with your hands.
Right.
And at the time, I mean, I can get into that after, but at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went away to the school. It's like, oh, I'll do it for 2 years. And if I want to go away, I'll go away. But that never happened. They had
Yeah.
a 4-year business program, and that's what I ended up staying in.
And is that what you did? You did the business program
Yeah. Yeah.
and you got a bachelor's degree?
Correct.
You finished in 4 years?
I did.
You're with Stephanie the whole time
I'm
doing it?
with Stephanie the whole time.
Yeah. And where were you staying? Your parents' house?
Oh, yeah. I knew I had it made, and
Yeah.
I was perfectly content driving to school and saving every penny I made at my job at the time, and I was a mechanic,
Yeah.
which I took up thanks to Stephanie's father. Uh, and I was making decent money at it. And that's kind of where I think I had a problem was I really enjoyed working with my hands, and I wanted to continue doing that. But I knew, oh, my parents want me to stay in school. So I kind of had a bit of a crisis at that point. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah. How long were you doing the mechanic thing?
I started that probably, I want to say it was like 1998.
Okay.
It was one of those things where he was working, he was a cop, and he worked on the side as a mechanic. And, he's like, I said, I can't work for my parents anymore at the store. I'm like 18 now. I can't be an 18-year-old grocery delivery boy.
Yeah.
And well, why don't you come over to the shop? And he was working at the Pep Boys at 23rd and 23rd Street. I was like, I don't know anything about cars. He said, can you stand erect? I said, yes. He said, then you can work there. He said, I will show you everything you need to know. So yeah, Gino really got me started with that.
Yeah, Gino's your father-in-law.
Correct.
And so let's take a step back. You have a future father-in-law. He's a police officer and he's kind of a gruff guy.
Yes.
Yeah. How was it meeting him?
It was interesting. So the first time I had a real interaction with Gino, he wanted to set the tone right away. So he brought me upstairs and showed me all of his guns.
Every one of them, huh?
Every one. He opened up the safe and just started laying them on the bed one by one.
That's a Gino story.
Yeah,
Oh
one by
God.
one.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
But
he wanted to set the tone. Yeah.
he was never mean to you though,
No,
was
never. No,
he?
100%. He was super nice. I think it was just more like, I'm just gonna fuck with him.
Yeah.
Just let's see
Yeah.
him squirm.
That's great. What was it? Would you remember meeting my dad?
I don't remember when I met your dad, but I remember your dad being around a lot. Like
Yeah.
they were always like they used to have card nights and stuff. Donna used to do that. So
Yeah.
that'd be my mother-in-law, Stephanie's mom.
Yeah.
But I remember all of that, and I remember sometimes I'd see your mom there.
Right.
But your father, it was just here and there I would see him.
Yeah. Down the basement, a computer,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
messing with computers and all that kind of stuff. All right. So you're in college now. What's it like? What do you like at that point? What is you
So I'm a freeloader, right? Like I said,
like?
I'm earning a I'm earning okay money doing what I really enjoy doing,
Yeah.
and but I'm in school because this is what my folks want. They don't want me to, and this isn't a sob story. Don't get me wrong. It's just my folks did not want to see me work with my hands because they felt like I could do more.
Right.
So it was an easygoing time. It really was. Like I was in school, but I was kind of coasting. I really wasn't trying super hard. I wanted to do this thing over here.
Yeah.
I'm making okay money at it,
Yeah.
but they wanted me to have no parts of it. So and I'm living with them. So I didn't want to rock the boat. So, it was I was with my folks God, right up until I want to say I was almost 25, 26 before I
26.
moved out.
And when you moved in with 7, when did you guys get married? How old were you?
26.
Oh, okay. So
we
you
we bought a house
yeah,
and we were in the house what, 6, 7 months before we got married.
gotcha.
Yeah, so no, I didn't live on my own until I moved in with Stephanie.
So you have literally never spent a day by yourself in an apartment. Me neither, buddy. So
No, not 1 minute.
I'm not. Yeah. So I left home because I left home and I was making this big move and had a roommate for 2 years
Yep.
and then moved in with my future wife. So I've never lived alone either.
I have never, not 1 minute.
It's funny. What did you like most about being a mechanic?
I love taking things apart, like figuring things out. I like to solve problems and, it just made sense.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of creativity in it, and I'm not a super creative person. That's her, right?
Right.
I'm the more logical side. She's the more creative person.
Yeah.
But I like taking things apart, figuring out what was broke. And I always love cars,
Yeah.
always into cars.
And do you miss it?
Yeah, to a degree. I it's real easy to look back on it favorably and be like, "Oh, that was such a great time and everything." It was hard.
Yeah.
I've never seen a late 50-year-old mechanic who looked great.
Yeah.
They always look beaten up, beaten to death.
Do you think your parents were right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me put it this way. I would not have the lifestyle I have now, and that's not to say, "Oh, I'm doing fantastic," but,
Right.
we would definitely be struggling a little more if I was a mechanic as
Right.
opposed to, I mean, hey, who's to say, you don't open a shop, make a go of it that way, but they were probably right, but, I don't know.
How about if it's your kids now and you had to give them the same advice at the same time, what would you say?
Well, I mean, what is a 4-year degree now really doing for anybody,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it's a great question.
you know?
It's a great question.
So, no.
I'm running into that very soon here
Yeah,
with an 11th grader
yeah,
who who's thinking about going to college to go get a 4-year film degree. And I don't know. You can go out and get a job and learn on the job.
and
There, there,
not have tons of debt.
yeah, there's some things that require a degree if you want to be a teacher, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a doctor.
Yep,
Other than that, other than those specialty programs, I mean, if you want to be an accountant,
yeah,
obviously you need
yeah,
that degree. But other than those few things, I don't know. I don't know. I agree. It's tough,
yeah.
and there's plenty of opportunities if you have a trade now too.
Well, my older son is 14 and he's got his eyes set as a 14-year-old does
Yeah,
on being an orthodontist. I said, why don't you look for something a little cheaper to be educated on? But I have to say, I'm pretty open minded about whatever they want to do. I'm not really forcing them down one way or another.
you graduate 4 years. What do you do after that?
So I graduate, I get an internship because that's what you do,
Right,
right?
right.
It's like I had a work study program when I was in school. I don't know what the fuck I did when I was there.
Yeah,
Like painted lines on the field at some point. It was like, okay.
right,
And I start this job at this place. It's a retirement community at 17th and Callowhill. And it's still there, but it's under a different name. And I'm doing like accounting slash business work, which I'm kind of just floating along. I don't know what I want to do. And it was like, oh, at that point I had a degree. I'm going to start a job somewhere,
yeah,
and then I'm going to do something. But I never really never had a real long term plan in mind other than I'm going to be good at whatever I do.
yeah.
Um, so I took this job and I was there from 2001 until 2003, at which point I got laid off because the company decided to, shrink their footprint and
Right.
bring the job back to Arizona.
And what you do after that?
I was out of work for 6 months, and that was a real ego reality check
Yeah,
where I was like, well, this isn't bad. I'm going to take 2 weeks off, and then I'm going to go get a job somewhere else doing better. I'll make more money. It's no big deal. And I got it. I got a real reality check over that 6 months trying to get a job and
yeah,
getting told, no,
yeah.
you're not good enough for this.
Repeatedly.
Yes, and that was demoralizing. It really was.
Yeah, yeah. I have applied for so many jobs over my lifetime. I mean, I've always had a job. I've never been out of a job, but I've al- I've I've often been in jobs and then almost immediately looking for a new one.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was like, I never imagined being a guy who couldn't get something like a job. I'm like, this obviously, if I apply, they're gonna see I'm worth it.
Yeah,
But
it's hard.
yeah,
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard just to get in the interview.
it was I went into this one interview and I was totally unprepared. Some headhunter sent me in, and this lady sat in front of me, handed me a laptop, and asked me to do a bunch of stuff in Excel, which I was back then pretty weak at.
Yeah,
Um, and I just was like flop sweat. Just like she knew she was just like you could see she was enjoying it.
right.
And I just walked out and I called the headhunter. I was screaming at her. I was like, I felt like a fucking asshole. And that was the last time I ever heard from her. I never heard from the headhunter again after that. She was like, all right, he's out.
And then, so you did get a job in 6 months, and where'd you
So
go?
yeah, so like Stephanie's working at some place in town. I can't remember where it was, and I get a call from some recruiter who I started talking to, and he asked me if I had heard of this hospital in South Philly. I was like, yeah, I was born there.
Yeah.
Do you want to go over there and interview? And I was like, well, why not? I've been out of work 6 months now. I might as well. And I got a job there, and working in their finance department.
You've been there ever since?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's if anybody who knows ownership structure there, you can kind of do the math. But from that hospital up through the Center City campus, I have been with that institution since 2003.
Yeah. How was it once you settle in there? How was it going with life and things of that nature?
It was good. I started there in oh 04, in oh 03, and I finally felt like, okay, I can kind of get my life back on track again here.
Yeah.
And I swear I was there probably 4 months,
Yeah.
and I'm shopping for engagement rings because clearly I have to go get married next, right? Because
Right.
you know what the problem was? I was always looking down the road at the next thing
Yeah.
without having a clue what the next thing should have been. It
Right.
was more like people say this is what you should be doing. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was going well. I mean, it wasn't glamorous work, but it was steady work and I enjoyed it. And they were really good with um teaching people and bringing people up through the ranks.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was a good time, and like I said, I got engaged in 2004, and yeah, and then we were married in 2006.
So you get married in 2006. Anything change in your life after getting married as opposed to being in a long-term relationship? Yeah.
It felt like the wedding day. All it was an official way of saying, okay, now we're married. But I mean, we
Right.
were we were together at that point for 10 years.
Yeah. It's like what we were supposed to do, right?
Yeah,
That's what, and so it sounds a lot like what we're talking about is Joey did a lot of things that he was just supposed to do.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I would agree with that.
Did kids change anything?
Kids change everything.
What- Your first son came when?
He came in 2009, and it's funny you say that. I look back at my life, and it's life before kids,
Yeah.
and who I was then,
Right.
life after kids, and who I was after. But yeah, my older son was born in 2009, and that was and it wasn't like, oh, now it's time to have kids. It was we legitimately wanted kids, and we worked
Right.
that out well in advance of getting married.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a rude awakening, man. It was a shell shock.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I was not as ready as I thought I should have been, as ready as I thought I was.
Yeah.
I still remember how I got a house, I got a job, everything's going well. We're ready for this.
Yeah.
We get home, and I had a conversation with you after this, probably maybe about a year or so after, but we got home and it was like he's in the house, I'm in the house, she's in the house, and it was like I still remember I was sitting on the couch. It was the night we brought him home, and it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
I am responsible for this person
Yeah.
who, in reality, I had conversations with people who had kids, like my brother. He's very gushy. I looked at my son and I fell in love. They handed me my son, and I looked at him and I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the same
And
reaction.
that's what I said. I had
Yeah.
that conversation with you, and you were like, "Yeah, I had the same thing." I was like, "Oh my god, where were you about a year ago?"
Yeah. I've talked to other people about it, and they oftentimes look at me like I'm fucking crazy.
No, not at
I
all.
love my kids,
Yeah,
and
it came with time.
I never turn them away, but it was like an alien. I don't know.
I did not feel what everyone told me I was supposed to feel
Yeah.
when I looked at my kid. I felt paralyzing fear, and I was. It's not like I suffered in silence.
Yeah.
Stephanie had bad postpartum, so I didn't want to saddle her with that.
Right.
But I'd have conversations with people, and they're like, "Well, whatever. It's how
Yeah.
you feel is how you feel."
It wasn't like instant joy. Like I was happy about it, but it wasn't like this instant
No,
joyful connection.
100%.
I would have done anything for my kid then, and certainly over time, it they wear on you. And
Yeah. And Joey was born, he was full term, but he was small.
yeah,
And we didn't know it. It wasn't like, anybody had warned us about that.
right,
And, I never changed a diaper a day in my life. And this kid's like under 5 pounds. And I'm like trying to get him fed. He was in the NICU for only a couple days,
yeah,
for that reason. But it was hard. He didn't sleep through the night for a year. It was like he was up every 2 hours, and I was just it was a rough 2006, 2009 to 2010 was rough. It
and
was rough.
when your second son come?
He came 2015,
So they're how many years apart? 6
6 years.
years.
Yeah.
All right, so they're yeah. So basically, you get everything settled, you're doing well, and then it starts over again.
Well, we were going to have another kid,
Yeah,
but Joey was tough. He had really like he was. It wasn't like I don't want to. My parents beat me, but
yeah,
it was the '80s. Parents were physical. You got out of line. You
right,
got the shit beat out of you.
right,
But we weren't super physical with the kid. You give him a
yeah,
little whop here and there. That was about it.
right,
But he had really bad temper tantrums, like
yeah,
horrific. It was like you just toss him in the room, shut the door, and hope to God he doesn't kill himself.
yeah,
Um, but that went on for years, and it was like I remember she wanted another kid, and I said no, no, and I can't do this with him being like this.
yeah,
And then after we kind of got over the hump with him, by like 4 or 5, it was
yeah,
like, all right, now we can talk about this. I tell Joey to this day, there's a reason you're 6 years older than your brother. You
yeah.
were horrific.
Yeah, if we would have had Nicholas the first, although we were thinking about not having kids after Jacob, but and then Laura trapped me into the second one. I don't care what she says, she trapped me, but I'm fine with it. But I don't think there's any way that I would have had a second one if I had Nicholas first,
Yeah,
and I love him to death. But he was the same way. Like he would just. I had to turn the lock on his door on
yeah,
the opposite way, and I would literally just lock the door, and he would bang on the fucking door for an hour.
yeah. Joey was a handful.
Yeah. So how was it having two?
Two was, it was funny. I I remember I remember when we had Joey, it was tough, but then it was like I said, that relationship came over time,
Yeah.
and I became the doting father, and then we decided to have Luke, and it was okay. I know what to expect.
Yeah.
This is easy. We we have him, and she had a rough go of the delivery, and we get home, and I'm like, you just sit down. I got this. This is easy. I
Yeah.
remember bringing him upstairs to his room and getting him ready, fed him, swaddled him, put him in the bed. I'm like, this is easy. I mean, no wonder people can have multiple kids. After you have the first one, it's super. Hour and a half goes by. He was up all fucking night.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay, we're back to this again.
Yeah.
And then it's 6 in the morning, been up all night, and I'm rocking like, what the fuck were we
Yeah.
thinking?
Yeah.
We were past this and now we're doing it again.
Yeah. And how old are they now?
So Joey's 14 and Luke is 8.
8. Yeah. So you're settled in now?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was tough, man.
Yeah.
Like kids, if you're not in a good spot in your relationship, God help you adding a
Yeah.
kid to it, because I thought we were in a good spot, and it was hard. It put a kids put a strain on your relationship no matter what. And we've been together, God, we're approaching 30 years now.
Yeah. I think you know this, but Laura and I almost got divorced after Jacob,
I did not know that actually before listening to your podcast.
but because it was a really everything changed.
Yeah,
And we were 30, right? So we had a real life together. We had a real life apart, and then everything just fucking stopped.
yeah, yeah,
I'll never forget the first time we tried to go out. It We tried to go out to happy hour, and we get home, and it was like by the time we got the baby ready, just to not even leave the house, but to just be with my mother, everybody was fucking ready to leave happy hour.
oh my God.
It was like 8 o'clock. It was like we get out by like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And we figured it out eventually, but it was a miserable time for us.
Yeah,
We were much better prepared the second time, the same as you
yeah,
guys, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. Well, I remember I had friends from being into cars and stuff, and this guy that I was friends with out in Douglasville. He and his girlfriend, they at the time it was his girlfriend. They didn't have any kids, but I used to drive. It was a 2 hour ride to get out there. And I remember they wanted us to meet up with them after we had Joey, and it was like, oh man, I don't know. This is like this isn't the same as it. Just bring the kid. It's no. I'm not bringing a kid in a car carrier into a bar.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah,
Not doing that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have a rant about coming up soon about people and their dogs slash kids.
Sounds good.
All right, just about having to fucking bring them everywhere.
Yes.
All right, I'll leave that for another time. But so you two kids, tell me about like the last 10 years. You know what's been going on.
Last 10 years. So let's think. So Joey's, like we'll say he's like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think we finally hit a good cadence of life.
Yeah.
Um, she was kind of in between what she wanted to do with her career, but I was doing okay. I mean, I was making moves at work, and I was doing better. I was given opportunities, and things were going well. So professionally, I was doing well.
Yeah.
And then personally, things were going okay, no real complaints. But yeah, it was like, but I was always like looking ahead as far as like what should I be doing next with
Yeah.
no real clear answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, does that feel like a recurring theme for you?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that you need an answer? I guess.
And that's funny because I think in the past year or two,
Yeah.
it's finally hit me. I need to
Yeah.
stop looking ahead to what I should be doing next and just like stay in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I've come to that realization too. It's not. What are we waiting for?
Yeah.
What am I waiting? That's why this podcast is happening.
Yeah.
Not that it's that life changing or whatever, but whatever. I like to hear myself talk, so we're
Yeah,
we're gonna hear myself talk.
absolutely.
All right. So how about the next 10 years? What's your plan? I know Joey has a plan. He always has a fucking plan.
I don't have a plan.
You
That's
don't.
no, I don't. So it was funny, everything was leading up to, oh, need to do this next thing,
Yeah.
need to do the next thing, need to move into a bigger house. What do you do after that? Oh, after the bigger house, then we'll figure out the next thing to do. Whenever that next thing happens, it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
I don't know, like I'm at a point right now where I'm kind of like, I've been in my current career now over 20 years, and it was good to me. I don't know that I want to keep doing what I'm doing now for the rest of my life.
Right.
It's financially allowed us to have the life we have,
Yeah.
but Stephanie's been working pretty steadily. Like she was in a pretty rough job for years,
Right.
um, in early childhood ed, but she left that and then she took a different job, and it's definitely helped us make some changes and some adjustments,
Yeah.
and we're definitely in a better spot. But I don't know. I know I don't want to keep doing what I'm doing now for the rest of my life.
Do you feel like liberated by the fact that you don't necessarily care?
100%.
Yeah.
I think I spent a lot of my life worrying about doing what was expected
Yeah.
and doing what was what was, I guess, socially agreed upon as the thing you should be doing next.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can't speak for everybody. I know COVID was a real not the COVID was not difficult for me. I want to be clear.
Yeah.
COVID was easy for me. I saved a shit ton of money.
Me too.
I bought a house. You too.
Me too.
And we bought a house, we bought a bigger house, we sold the house, and you know, we had some things happen in our lives. Some folks passed away in the family, and friends, family,
Yeah.
and it really was eye opening to like just sit down and shut up and kind of just slow down a little bit.
You know what's funny is I just really I think we both ended up almost in the same place philosophically,
Hmm.
coming from the exact opposite ends of it, right?
Hmm.
So you're doing everything that you think is expected of you, and I'm doing everything that nobody ever thought I could do. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But and it just keeps piling on itself. But but they didn't think I could do this, so I'm going to do it, and then I get to be a lawyer, and I don't really like it.
Yeah.
I gotta, and then I do it for 20 years, and it's really just because I don't want to look like a failure,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. And then like, who gives a fuck?
Well, and I'm at a point now where I'm like, I've been very successful at what I'm doing,
Yeah,
but do I like what I do every day?
yeah,
No, not
right,
really.
right,
But there's days I go to work and I like resolving issues, solving problems.
right.
But Do I really get up and actually enjoy what I do? I
You
can't
know,
say that I do. No.
yeah, I had a friend, Frank, who was my college roommate. His dad used to tell him that if you like 25% of your job, you should be happy with that. And that's a really old world way of
That's
thinking.
a really low bar.
Yeah, it's a really low bar. And I thought that way. I thought that that was good advice, and I'm not so sure it is.
Yeah,
I think you should try to like as much as you can about your job, and as long as you can make things work
I agree.
financially.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, if financially, if Stephanie could support us, I'd probably leave tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah, no doubt about
yeah. All right, so let's talk about you had to have some embarrassing moments along the way.
it. Everybody's had embarrassing moments.
All right. I mean, you were a good kid. You did okay in school. You always did what you're supposed to do. It's kind of fucking nauseating.
It's I'm probably going to be your least exciting
No,
guest on here.
no, it's not. It's not less interesting. I know you think that about yourself,
I
but
definitely think that.
it's not. It's interesting. Everybody has a different road and for different reasons. But
Yeah.
can we talk about when you were 21 years old when you turned 21?
Oh, we can definitely talk about that.
So let's talk about it. How was your 21st birthday, Joe?
It was good from what I can remember. Yeah, it was good from what I can remember. Yes, you were present. Your wife was present.
I was.
There was a lot of people present, and it was a lot of fun. But it was a long night.
It was a long night. You ended up in an alley.
I
Uh,
did end up in an alley.
yeah,
I ended up in an alley, but I came out of said alley. I want to say it was
it
McGillen's,
was McGillen.
and I was just standing there acting like I didn't just throw my guts up because some girl was up the alley throwing her guts up
Yeah,
that I didn't know. And everybody came outside. Where's Joey? Where's Joey? And I was standing, I was like, I'm here. I'm fine. I just wanted some fresh air. I'm sure I was like wiping the puke from my face at that moment.
yeah, you were
Yeah.
stumbling.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the last drink of the night was you at the bar saying to the bartender, give me, and I remember this. I don't have blackout drunk stories. I
Yeah.
really don't. But you said, give me the most disgusting thing you can think of in a shot for him. And I want to say it was Old Granddad and tequila,
Oh God,
and I mean, it was
that's not
just
nice.
slammed right down,
That's
boom,
not nice.
and
Why would I do that?
and it was awful, and I didn't even taste it, and you looked at me and said, "You're done.
You're done.
You're done." And I wanna say that was the one that led up to the alley for sure.
I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some advice you would give some people. How about the 18-year-old version of you? What would you tell yourself?
You're an idiot. You do not know anything. Your parents are the smartest people you know.
Yeah,
You should take their advice, but try and live your own life.
yeah,
I should have probably done more to live a life that I wanted, and not necessarily the one that my folks wanted for me. I mean, I can't look, I'm not knocking them for it. Like I said,
right,
this isn't a pity parade, but I
right,
did what was expected of me.
yeah,
And, I think I probably would have enjoyed myself more.
yeah. How about new parents? Any advice for new parents?
Get your shit in order in your own relationship first.
Yeah, man, that's good advice.
Because I thought we were in an amazing place.
Yeah,
And the little things that were beneath the surface
yep,
really come
yep,
out and shine when
yep.
you add another person to it.
It's not going to make it better.
Oh my god,
Don't have that. Don't have that makeup, kid.
no.
It's not going to fucking make it better. Well, I've seen that so many times
No. No.
in my life to people that have that second or third kid to try to make things work
Yeah.
again, to like go back to this better place or something. It's not that additional responsibility is never going to make it better.
No, definitely not.
How about for new husbands?
Set realistic expectations of one another.
Yeah,
You know, you may think you married a porn star. You think you may have married a gourmet chef, Susie homemaker. The reality is everybody is going to change a little bit over
yeah,
time.
right.
I don't care what they're like when you first meet. Yeah, things are going to change over time, and hopefully for the better for you.
Yeah, and you got to work at it, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's a lot of effort.
Yeah. How about bosses? Any advice for the future boss of the world
Future boss of the
or
world.
current boss of the world?
Listen to people. Don't pretend to listen.
Yeah.
Nothing I hate more than when I hear people say that, I've got an open door. I always listen, and they don't even give you 10% of their attention. They
Yeah.
want you to think that they are,
Right.
but they're not listening to anything that you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. How about young workers?
I had a guy say to me once, "Don't chase money." And I don't know that I would say that that's great advice. This up and coming generation jumps every couple years for the next great opportunity.
Yeah.
And as a person who hires, it infuriates me. And as a person, if I take myself out of that equation, I'm like, what do you care? They're doing what they want to do.
Right.
So pursue the life you want. I've been with the same place 20, in excess of 20 years now almost, and it's been good, but at the same time, should I have been that loyal that long? I don't know. I probably should have jumped sooner.
Yeah. I don't know. I've jumped a lot, so I don't know if it's better on the other end. I think finding your happiness or somewhere you can be content.
Exactly. Yeah,
You know.
it's easy for me to say the grass is always greener, but
Yeah.
I think if you're not happy at what you're doing, you should definitely look
I
elsewhere.
think that's probably the answer is that money isn't everything,
Yeah.
but you know, but you don't have to be loyal either
No,
because they're not fucking loyal to you.
no, no.
I mean, I've seen it so many times where I have bosses that talk about clipping people,
Yeah,
like just using the word fucking clip when you're talking about somebody's fucking life.
yeah.
I mean, that's
That's
just an awful. You're an awful human being.
yeah,
I won't mention his name. He's still a fucking jitbag, though.
that's a great word.
It is a great word. Thank you. How about the best advice you ever got?
The best advice I ever got. I don't know. I think I'm still waiting for it.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of advice over the years. I've been very perceptive to what I think was people giving me what they thought would be good advice,
Yeah.
but I didn't necessarily qualify as good
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah. Do you like getting advice?
Giving or getting?
Getting, like, do you mind it when people give it to you?
If I solicit it,
Yeah.
when people come to me and say, "Let me tell you something,"
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
generally dig my heels in. I'll be respectful of someone enough to listen to them,
Right.
but more often than not, I'm thinking about something totally unrelated to whatever you're saying to me right now.
What would 18-year-old you think of 40-plus-year-old you?
Where the fuck is all your hair?
Ah,
I had
uh,
a fantastic head of hair.
you did. You
It's
did.
gone.
I have some ear hair that I can give you if you
Yeah,
want
yeah, yeah. Thanks.
it. You
I don't know. I think he would be surprised that I'm still at the place I started working, when I was 23, but at the same time, impressed by the fact that I've worked hard enough in my personal life, my relationships,
yeah.
to maintain lifelong relationships, with certain people.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice that nobody hates you. Nobody. You don't have anybody that hates you, do you?
I don't know that anyone hates me. Um, I could be wrong. Hopefully,
Yeah.
someone will let me know.
I guess there's probably people out there that don't like your confidence.
Possibly.
Yeah, your yeah, that thing that you had as a kid, you probably still have a little bit of that, I guess, right?
Probably. If you've heard something, let me know though, because
No, no, no. I'm
okay.
just trying to think. I mean, I want like some dirt, like, but you're just a nice dude, and it's annoying.
There's dirt. There's dirt. You just have to keep digging a little bit.
How about let's talk about relationships. What's it like being your wife? What would Steph say about you?
She would probably say he thinks he knows fucking everything, but he generally does. No,
Ah,
no. I try really hard to I'm a better husband now than I was when we first got married.
yeah,
I felt like I had to fix everything. I had to do everything, be that traditional husband,
yeah,
not give her the space
yeah,
to kind of be her own person.
yeah,
I probably was smothering in the beginning, whereas now I'm like, do your own thing. What do I care?
yeah.
Um, so I would hope that she likes me better as a husband now than maybe when we first started, our relationship.
I had a hard time in the beginning too,
Yeah.
just to giving that space and just being jealous and not really being jealous because I really even wanted to be, but jealous because I thought I had to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Hey, different people.
Yeah. How about being your child? What boys say about you?
I I'm tough on them, but at the same time, I'm not I'm not as tough on them as my dad was on me
Yeah.
because I know my dad he was hard. He was tough. He really was. but I mean, he was a good guy. You know, he
Yeah.
worked his ass off. But my kids, I give them like, look, you got one. Your job is to go to school, do well, don't be a shitty person.
Right.
That's more important than anything. Don't be a shitty person, and that's it. Like you got an easy job, and I give them free reign to do whatever they want.
What would your parents say about you at this point in your life?
It's funny. I have a much better relationship with my father now than I did then.
Yeah.
Um, I get along with him in a much more friendly, casual way
Yeah.
than I thought I ever would. I think they're proud of me, the life I've made for myself and for my family. But, you know, not like I said, I'm not doing anything too earth shattering, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty boring. What could I say?
No, yeah, that's
But they're I think they're proud of me. You know, I do whatever I can for them and they do whatever they can for me. And, you know, I'm at a point in my life now where I look at my folks and I'm like, okay, they're in their mid 70s. I'm probably on borrowed time now.
yeah,
So I try and uh, spend as much time as I can with them.
yeah. How about your brother?
My brother and I, you know, we get along,
Yeah,
but we're not real close.
yeah,
You know, we're just totally different. We're totally opposite people. And he's kind of got his own thing. I got my own thing. And when we get together, we joke around, we're friendly. But my brother is in his own world. He
yeah,
really is. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. How about your friends? What would your friends say about you?
I'm really loyal, sometimes to a fault.
Yeah.
I hate feeling like I'm being taken advantage of, but I always put myself in a position where I get taken advantage of.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, I'm not the type of person to turn away helping someone.
Yeah,
And, you know, I like feeling needed.
yeah,
I derive some kind of satisfaction from that, whether it's helping somebody with, you know, something related to a car or something personal, like financially related, or,
right.
you know, whatever it may be. You know, hey, you need me to help you come over and fix this or do that. It's not typically reciprocated.
Yeah. And reciprocated, we mean like they're not available when you need the help.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I hear you. It's annoying.
You know, that's why I didn't ask anybody to help me move. He said, "Why don't you let us know?" I don't need shit. I wrote the check and that was the end of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm fucking tired of making moves. I mean, I've done so many goddamn
Yeah, you
moves.
have.
I've, I mean, you remember as a kid, like, I mean, I met you in '96, so
Mhm.
from '96 to fucking 2000, I probably moved fucking 7 times.
So did Stephanie.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah. How about let's talk about some embarrassing stories. We talked about a drunk story. How about a pee? We talked about a puke story too. You have any pee or fart stories?
Pee or fart stories? Not really. You know, it's funny. It's like she she's got a good pee story. I don't have any good pee or fart stories. I said this is horrible. Let's talk about people of a certain age, and you know, we were just having conversations about a few minutes ago. It's like I said, I never had an experience shitting myself as an adult, right?
Yeah.
As a kid, I distinctly remember a story running up the steps. I was young and I had a fucking humongous log in my drawers, and the
Yeah.
lady who used to watch us was chasing me around the house, and I just was running, and she could not fucking catch me because she was, you know, mid late 60s.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was hysterical because it was like there I am in my tidy whities. I couldn't be any older than 4 or 5, and obviously I had to go, and just that was that.
Just big ass log right in
I
your
mean, it was enormous, proportional to my size at the time.
uh,
No, now as an adult, I just actually was sitting there laughing about this, thinking to myself, I said, never in my life had I had a problem shitting myself. I said, but as an adult, I was sitting in my living room having a conversation with her and let out a quick fart. And it wasn't a fart, a
yeah.
little quick one. And I'm like, and she looks at me, she says, "What's wrong?" I'll be right back. Go upstairs and it's like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Shart.
Yeah,
Sharts,
shark.
sharts in your 40s.
Yeah, sharks in your 40s. Yeah, shit comes out. It just says
Clearly.
Laura says it to me. It's not a fart, Dave. It's not. You didn't. You didn't. You didn't shart. It's. I don't care what you call it. You just shit yourself.
Well, that's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you haven't destroyed any of your soup pants or anything like that.
Never. No, thank
Yeah.
God.
You never peed in the middle of a baseball field,
I can't say that I've peed in the middle of a baseball field. No.
like in your pants. I'm just saying. How about like at 17th and Spruce?
100%. It's never happened.
Jesus. Christ, I'm a fucking disgusting human.
I've had many close calls.
Oh
Many
God,
close calls.
I don't like you. You're too fucking. You got it two together.
Well, let me give you one that was funny.
All
It
right.
was I think I was on my way out to my uncle's house,
Yeah.
and I was probably 10 or 11, and we were in the back of a station wagon, my dad's station wagon, because he had the store, so he needed that. And it was one of those third row seats,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, we're driving to Westchester, and when you're like 10 or 11, it might as well have been 100 miles away. And I had to shit so bad. I just was the whole ride there. I was just moaning and groaning. And my grandmother, God bless her, told my dad, just pull over. I've got some Kleenex. He can go on the side of the road. And my buddy Mark was actually with us at the time going out there. And he was doing everything to egg me the fuck on. He wanted me to shit myself so bad. He tried everything,
Yeah.
but I made it. I made it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm so tired of you always succeeding. Bullshit. I will listen. This is gonna happen. We're gonna go out again, and I'm gonna make you shit
I'm
yourself.
going to shit yourself.
I'm gonna fucking get you so drunk that you are gonna shit and piss yourself, and I'm gonna fucking put it on video.
Listen, I have to tell you, I the last time I was with you
Yeah.
and alcohol was involved was one of the most apocalyptic hangovers I ever had.
When was this?
Before COVID, it
Yeah.
was a Christmas party at your house.
Was it still in South Philly?
It was in South
Oh,
Philly.
right. It had to be. Yeah.
Yep. And I went over there and I said, I want to say it was what? So it had to be like maybe it was 19 or
Yeah.
18,
Yeah. Yeah. It was
something like that.
probably the last one I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to her, yeah, I don't really want a whole lot to drink tonight. And I think I had like, I went downstairs and got, a thing of whiskey, just
Yeah.
whatever. But, and it was just picking, just picking here and there on
Yeah.
your cured meats. And I remember Jameson getting taken out
Uh-huh.
and a lot of shots happened
Yeah.
and it was bad.
I think some of my baseball guys were there that night.
It was
I
harsh.
was particularly on fire.
It was harsh. It was hard. And I got to the car and I'm not proud of that. I've done a lot of driving when I shouldn't have driven
Yeah. Me too, buddy.
when I was drunk. But that night I got to the car, got to the driver's door and stopped and said, you know what? Why don't you drive? I mean, I got both my fucking kids with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was as drunk as I was until the next day I got up and I got a hangover that I have never experienced in my life. I remember
Was it
watching.
was it worse than when you were 21?
Oh, I didn't get hangovers back. I didn't get hungover back then.
Yeah.
I would wake up, have some coffee, have something to eat, and be fine. And I tried that. And do you remember that shitty movie on Netflix, Bird Box?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I still tell everybody this story. I got up and I went downstairs and I thought I was okay. I made coffee. I got like a piece of toast or something,
Yeah.
turned the movie on, and they got the blindfold over. And I got motion sickness from that.
Yeah.
I fucking ran up the steps, almost didn't make it into the powder room, throwing my guts up, and I was sick for at least 12 hours after that. Like I got up thinking I was fine
Yeah.
and proceeded to feel like death the rest of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
That's the worst hangover I've had as an adult.
So that's what you tell your friends. You're like, you got to stay away from Dave ever.
Dave McGauley will get you dead. Yeah, he throws a good party.
Uh, I am your Mike Lane.
Yes.
I am what Mike Lane is to me.
There you go.
All right, my 20 questions. You ready? Oh,
Sure.
no, wait,
No,
one more,
go
one
ahead.
more. Have you ever caught somebody having sex or get caught having sex?
I am sure I walked in on my parents, but they had the good dignity to have the lights off.
Uh,
We had these bifolding doors at the
yeah,
house,
yeah,
and I remember opening the door. And you ever just walk in and know something's wrong?
uh-huh.
Yeah, there was definitely it was. I definitely feel like I walked in on my folks, 100%.
You and Steph ever get caught?
Never, but we it's we never got caught having sex, but we would go to I want to say it was Gerard Park.
Yeah,
Right? Like we would just drive down there. We would sit there, we would just sit there, bullshit and whatever. And I remember we would be, we'd be in the back of the station wagon messing around, but never have sex.
yeah,
Especially because it's fucking broad daylight,
yeah,
or you're out in the open.
yeah,
But I remember like we fell asleep or something, and then these fucking kids walked up. And I
yeah.
mean, there was probably like 15 people that walked up to the side of the car and was like, oh my God, look at these people in the back of the car. And we were both dressed, but it was just fucking weird.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was so stupid. It was so lame. I
yeah.
wish I could say I was in the middle of having sex,
No, that's
but
all right.
no. But my brother, I talk about being a dick. I constantly went home early when I knew he was there.
Did you?
Yeah, I was a jerk. I knew he was there. I'd open the door and I'd fucking shut the front door, like
Super loud.
slam it, be like, "Ding," and I'd hear, hear rumbling up there. I was a dick.
That's
Yeah, I
amazing. Like
definitely broke
when you
up his
guys were
house.
adults?
No, well, you
Like,
figure he was probably in college.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
he
he was
was,
probably in college. I was probably late high school.
yeah, so you were just being like,
I was being a complete dick. Yeah,
that's
definitely.
amazing. All right, 20 questions. Here we go. What makes you angry?
People who can't admit that they're wrong and people who enable them.
Yeah, the enablers make it worse for me.
Yes. Yes.
We all know those people, but the people that are, have to be right about everything, but the enablers drive me fucking
Yes.
bananas.
Yes.
That's good. What makes you happy?
Knowing that my family is happy.
How about one thing that you would change about yourself?
I think I would have pushed myself to find something that made me happy career wise in life. Like I'm really good at finding hobbies now as an adult with
Yeah,
some money, that to find different things that I enjoy,
yeah,
but you know, maybe push myself, you know,
a
to
little bit more.
a little bit more
Do you feel
younger.
regretful about that at
Maybe a
all?
little bit.
A little bit,
Yeah,
yeah. I
probably.
mean, you're happy where you are,
I'm
but
I'm happy that I'm financially stable, that my family is not, worried about their next meal, where they're going to sleep.
right,
Everybody's taken care of. Everybody's happy and safe. But I think maybe I was not much of a risk taker.
yeah, I hear you. One thing that you would change about the world?
Limit social media. I don't know how that would be. I
Yeah,
just know that it had a place years ago
yeah,
to reconnect with people you hadn't seen in years, and for what it is now, it's a fucking cesspool.
yeah. It doesn't. It's certainly not connecting people, right? It's
No, no, no. It's driving a wedge in between people for sure.
it's ended relationships that I've had,
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
and it really has. I mean, I was also a keyboard warrior for a while there, so I'm done being that. But I mean, I'm great at the keyboard, but it's not. None of it's worth it,
No.
and you're not changing anybody's
Oh,
opinion.
no, no, 100%. You're never going to change people's minds.
Not on social media. On one-on-one conversations, you may,
Yeah.
and one-on-one conversations never look like they do on social media. They
No,
never do.
no. Nobody's ever as mean face to face as they are behind a keyboard.
No, never. This comes from your lovely wife. Any tattoos or scars that you have that tell an interesting story?
I don't have any tattoos at all,
Yeah,
of course, because I'm, so exciting. I wouldn't say it tells an interesting story. I have a huge scar on my thigh
yeah.
that I was delivering an order from my parents for the store, and I was crossing Wolf Street, and I went past this bumper on a van, and I felt my shorts get pulled, and I was like, "That's weird. What the fuck was that?" I looked down, and I didn't see anything. Next thing I know, I saw this huge gush of blood just start pouring down my leg.
Oh, Jesus.
And I pulled my shorts, the side of my shorts up, and I had this fucking half dollar size hole in
Yeah.
my thigh that I didn't even feel it. That's how fast it happened. And I went back and I looked at this bumper, and it looked like a can opener, a piece of metal just sticking out.
Uh,
And I remember running to my grandmother's house, who wasn't that far away. Totally the worst person to go to see. As soon as she saw blood pouring out
she's
of
just
me,
screaming.
she's like she might have she should have just fallen over at that point. But I remember that, and I still have a big scar from it to this day. But yeah, not exactly an interesting story.
No, how old were you though?
Couldn't be any older than 10 or 11.
Oh, wow.
I was young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was young, and I had my eye. I had surgery when I was a kid, so I have a huge scar on my eye.
Another one from your lovely wife. The strangest place you ever had sex.
She's probably going to tell the same story. A Pep Boys parking lot while I was an employee.
Were you working at the
I
time?
wasn't working at the
Oh,
time, but I was at that Pep Boys in a vehicle in the parking lot. I don't remember what led up to us choosing that locale,
uh-huh.
but
Sexy.
it was so not. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
I
I
mean,
mean, nothing says loving like Manny Mo and Jack.
no, was anybody around? Was it like
No, it
dark?
was dead. There were no lights. There
Yeah,
wasn't a single car in the lot.
yeah,
I don't know. It was like I guess we were desperate. Like we needed a spot to go.
yeah. You both were still living home or whatever.
Didn't have anywhere to go. Didn't have anybody we could go. Can we use one of your rooms to bang? Like who's going to say yes to that?
What's the most important thing to you?
knowing that my kids don't feel super pressured by us. You know, I want them to know that
Yeah.
we're trying our hardest to be supportive of whatever they want to be, and that they know that no matter what, they can come to us.
Did is that something that you feel like from your upbringing in particular?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had, like I said, my folks were really tough,
Yeah.
and I'm tough on them, but at the same time, I want them to know it's like you have choices. You have options. It's
Yeah.
not like, it's the end of days if you make the wrong choice.
Right. It's your life,
Yeah,
right?
your
Yeah.
life, you got to live it.
Yeah. How about an everyday struggle that you have?
My weight. I have
Yeah.
gone up and down my whole life.
Yep.
It's been tough, and I'm probably due to go back down now.
Dude, I'd struggle so bad. I struggle so bad. I can't. I used to be able to lose weight really easily. I've done the
Yeah.
same thing. I've gone up and down, and I'm fucking working out now, and I can't lose this gut to save my goddamn life. 47 fucking sucks. I mean, listen, it beats the alternative,
Oh
but
yeah.
I don't want to be dead. But fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I like eating,
Yeah, me too.
but it's one of those things where, yeah, if I could do away with that, that would be good. Not do away with eating, do away with
Yeah, the weight.
the weight.
Most unreasonable thing about you?
Unreasonable. I'm a perfectionist, and I'm not saying I'm a perfectionist in the sense that I am always making things be perfect, but I want them to be perfect.
Right.
Like if I'm working on something and I know it should be this way, if it's not that way, it will drive me fucking nuts.
So, as a boss or as a leader, does it have to be your way?
No, no, 100% not. At the end of the day, I am the ends justify the means guy.
Yeah,
Get me to the end goal
yeah,
without fucking anybody up on the way, and I'm perfectly content with that.
yeah. I think that's the right answer. Yeah, everybody has a different way of doing things as
Yeah.
long as you accomplish the goal
I
that you
I've
set
had
out.
yeah, I've had too many bosses like that where it's like you do it my way because I've been doing this for 35 years and I know the right way to do it. It's like, well, but do you? Because
Yeah,
I don't know if you do.
right.
I no, I can't do that. And I got a lot of people that work for me now, and no, not at all. I can't do that.
What's this is a separate question. But what's the number one quality you want in somebody that you're hiring?
An independent thinker. I've got a guy who works for me now who he's a pain in the ass in that he questions everything,
Yeah,
but I go to him because he questions everything.
right.
It's like I'll drag him into stuff that I know he's going to be asking questions and because listen, I work for an academic medical center, and it's the phrase that pays is we've always done it that way, right?
Yeah,
Which isn't the way to run a business nowadays.
no.
And there's a lot of people that have been in these places for a long time, and he's been with us probably about 7 or 8 years. He's a good thinker, and I go to him for that stuff specifically.
That's an institutional problem everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Everywhere, just with people that have been doing the same thing a long time.
yep.
But this is the way we do it. Why?
Why?
And they don't have an answer for that
It's
other
not.
than
It's not the same place it was when you started here.
right.
You know?
Yeah. Even in the stuff that I'm doing now, which is, I work for the government, which is the
Yeah.
fucking worst place for that. They literally do things the same way, despite it, even when they have better alternatives,
Oh yeah.
and they plan for the better alternatives,
Yeah.
and they still do it the old way because they're just fucking stubborn and retarded. But anyway, what is your best quality?
Loyal. I'm a loyal person. Probably to a fault.
Yeah, it's funny. Everybody that says always ends with that
To a fault.
to a fault. Yeah,
It's well, it's like you want to be loyal to people, but you don't want to feel like you're being taken advantage of.
yeah,
But I don't know. It's just innate. I can't say I have a hard time saying no. I have been told by a colleague that I'm a people pleaser,
yeah,
and it makes her life hard. That's what she told me.
yeah,
She said, "You make my job hard because you want to say yes to everybody."
yeah. It's not a bad quality, buddy.
I didn't think it was either.
But it can get in your way
Yeah,
sometimes.
sure.
It hurts you more than it hurts anybody.
Yeah.
But it's okay to be nice to people.
Yeah. No, well, I'm good with being nice.
Yeah,
I think there's too many people that are shitty.
Yeah,
but being being the type of person that I guess her point was I don't know professionally how to say, "No, we don't have time for that." Like,
yeah,
"Hey, that's not a priority right now." It's, "All right, I'll take care of that, on my time as opposed to taking care of it on company time if I have to."
yeah. But people being shitty when what I tell people in the workplace and I tell people at home, just be yourself, do the right thing, and do what makes you sleep at night. Don't worry about what those people do. I've spent a long time worrying about what those people do and get very frustrated with it and
Yeah,
very angry.
yeah.
But you can't because it's all gonna, in the end, it's all gonna come out in the wash. People are gonna realize who they are. How about the dumbest mistake you ever made?
The dumbest mistake I've ever made. Probably driving home completely blind drunk from school.
Yeah,
That was probably the dumbest mistake I ever made. But and Stephanie was with me. All right. We were out with people that I was going to school with, and I was bad. Really, it was really bad. Like it's one of these things where I tell my kids now, I'm like, you have no fucking excuse with Uber and this and that. Like
yeah,
I don't care what happens. But I was driving home. I think I had the windows down, one eye closed,
yeah,
and I was trying. I had my car. It was stick shift car. I pulled up her street, threw it in reverse, backed into the spot, parallel parked. Do you remember how tiny that street was?
yeah,
One shot. And she was fucking mad because
yeah.
she was pissed. She couldn't drive the car because it
Right.
was stick shift.
Yeah.
And she was mad. Oh God, she was pissed. I got it in one backup, and she was like, "Fucking asshole."
How about the best mistake? A mistake that you thought I thought it was a mistake, but turned out to be great.
I don't know. That's tough. I thought that taking the job that I took was a mistake if after a couple of years, but I mean that's lame. I don't want to say that. I got to think on that one.
Yeah.
Um, that's a lame answer.
No, but still, you didn't like it at one point.
I didn't, but I mean, like I said, look, it's been good to me from a personal growth perspective and professional growth perspective.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I got to think on that one. That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Best mistake.
Yeah. So for me, because both my kids were mistakes, but
Both of mine were not.
yeah, I know. Because you have every goddamn thing planned. We
Ah,
already talked about this. We
this
already
is true. Very true.
uh, what annoys you most about other people?
I feel like going to that, never wrong narcissistic type people.
Yeah.
It really, really drives me up a wall.
Yeah. How about type of music that you hate?
Country. I don't even have to think about it. She has tried. I've had friends that have tried. I cannot get into it.
No,
And it,
no types of country.
I've heard certain types that are okay,
Yeah.
but I will listen to pretty much anything but that.
What is your favorite type of music? You have a favorite type?
It's funny. You know what I've been listening to a lot lately?
Yeah.
Stained. And that's
Uh,
not my favorite type of music, but
yeah.
that genre of music
Okay.
as of late, I would say, that late 90s, early 2000s rock.
Rock. Yeah. Do you like 70s soul?
No, not particularly,
Oh,
but I don't dislike it. I would listen to 70s soul before I listen to country.
all right. It's fine. I forgive you.
Okay.
How about if you were arrested, what would your friends and family think happened?
Probably something related to a car, like I was driving excessively fast somewhere.
Are you a fast driver?
Not as bad as I was.
Yeah.
For sure I was bad. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was really bad.
Were you like I have to hit 100 kind of like did that? Did you used to do that?
I mean, I didn't have to, but
You did.
well, yeah, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, I liked cars. I liked speed.
Yeah.
I got in trouble here and there with her father for drag racing. Try that one on for size, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got pulled over by a cop for drag racing with my father-in-law.
In the passenger seat?
No, he was in a separate car. We were drag racing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we got pulled over in the drug emporium parking lot. Like we were just being assholes. And a
Yeah.
cop pulled us over and and I actually have another funny story I could tell.
Yeah.
Um, some cop pulled us over, he was ready to give us, the Wolf Orange, pulled out his badge,
Yeah.
and the cop fucking started screaming at him.
Did he really?
And he just started laughing his ass off. He didn't give a shit.
No, Gino didn't
He
care.
he didn't care. But I got pulled over. Um, I was working as a mechanic, and I don't know what happened. I had a bad day, or what I thought was a bad day.
Yeah.
Um, and I got to the house, and I was just annoyed. I was in a bad mood. I got to their house, and he's like, "Go ahead, take the motorcycle out." I mean, he really did like me. Like,
Yeah.
take this giant Honda Valkyrie out, and I think I went down to like 24th or 25th in Snyder, and turned on to Snyder Avenue, and I mean, I think I had all green lights, and I mean, just cracked it.
Yeah.
I don't know how fast I was going. No helmet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just I would tear assing down Snyder. Got to 17th and Snyder and stopped, and I got pulled over by a bicycle cop. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm on this giant motorcycle, get pulled over by a bicycle cop. Once all the information, and I'm literally I can turn and see their street, and he's asking me for all this information, and he's like, "Where's your helmet at?" I said, "I don't. It's in the trunk." Being a jerk. I said, "No, no, there's a trunk right there. It's a trunk on this." But so he was already annoyed with me. Pulls the info. What would Officer so and so think of if I took his bike and impounded it right now? He'd be fucking mad at you. He was not happy with me, this cop. He went back, made some calls. Get this motorcycle out of here. I said, all right, fine. Turned around on Snyder Avenue, went back, told Gina what happened. What's his fucking badge? Give me his information. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah. Right.
yeah, because he was ready to tear him a new ass. But yeah, it definitely would be a speeding related incident, and I
Yeah.
don't do that anymore. But yeah, I was a bit of a fast driver.
If you were a woman for a day, what would you do?
Hmm. There definitely would be diddling involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of the responses, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna call bullshit.
Right.
There's definitely diddling involved.
Right.
Listen, I don't know a guy that can't keep their hand off their own parts,
Right.
let alone new parts.
Right.
So yeah, there's definitely that.
Yeah, I agree with that. This whole "I'm gonna run the world," give me like a fucking
No,
break.
no,
It's
no,
not gonna happen.
no. I would like to try and get out of getting a ticket. That
Yeah.
that might be how I would start the day. But no, other than that, I'm probably going to spend about 17 hours figuring out everything.
Or as Ganone said, "I'm gonna fuck everything."
Exactly.
Fuck everything. I won't blow anybody.
Blow everybody. Yeah.
I won't. No, I won't blow anybody because I could do that already.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Uh, what is your most fun but dangerous quality?
Fun but dangerous.
Anything related to like not being afraid of anything, that kind of thing? Are you a risk taker? Like you a risk taker when it comes to like like adrenaline that kind of thing?
Not really. I mean, the riskiest stuff I do used to involve, cars and shit, but
Yeah.
not particularly. No.
Anything that you find dangerous about yourself?
No, not really.
No.
Like I said, I think of myself as so uninteresting. I really
No.
do.
Yeah, you're not uninteresting, but
But no,
you
not
might not be dangerous.
no.
That might be the most interesting part about you,
Yeah,
actually.
I'm not a risk taker in that sense. I'm probably too safe,
Yeah, you're
unfortunately.
such a nice guy. God damn it. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't get in like bar fights and bar arguments.
No, man, I try and talk things out.
Yeah, I know. Because you're good. You were raised well, and you're a nice man.
Yeah.
You're a nice. Why are you friends with me?
You're hysterical, or at least that's what we used to say.
Yeah.
And then we would ask Laura, how do you not laugh at him all day long? And she would just kind of tilt her head at us.
Have you ever seen me like get angry at anything
Yes,
really? Have you?
yes, yes. And it was funny because it was always over something that seemed mundane
Yeah.
or pretty easygoing. Like I could see why someone would take an opinion on this, but Dave's position was quite strong.
Yeah. Exceptionally strong
Exactly.
for something so
Yeah.
exceptionally minor.
It was like, okay, I mean, hey, he feels pretty strongly about that.
Yeah. 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 Uh, can you give any insight onto these people about your like my father and a story about my dad?
Your dad, it's funny. I remember Gino tearing apart his old Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
He wanted to make a race car out of it, which it did not, pan out in the end, but it kind of sort of. But
Yeah.
we were at um, a Park Auto Body in one of these back shops. I mean, real shithole. And the car was in there, and it was me, your dad, and Gino, and we're tearing the car apart. And your dad is taking stuff. Well, your dad was obviously handy,
Yeah.
with cars as well. And he's tearing stuff off, and he's fucking throwing it in a corner, full of shit, just piece by piece.
Yeah.
And Gino's going, "What the fuck are you doing? I need all that stuff." And he's like, "Nah, you got to buy all new stuff. You don't need this stuff. You don't need." And he was just chucking stuff, and they started screaming at each other. And
Really?
I'm just fucking sitting there like, this is weird.
Wait, they were screaming at you?
Just it wasn't like heated, like they were going to fist fight.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
screaming at each other because he was telling Gino, "You need all new shit. You don't need this stuff." And Gino's trying to do it on a budget, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
wasn't
my dad
happening.
wasn't a budget guy.
There was no budget. Well, yeah.
My dad, when he passed away, he had 172 screwdrivers. Like, I mean, I don't know if it was that many, but it was he just whenever he needed a screwdriver, he went and bought a new one.
Yeah, well,
He
like you
had
do.
like fucking like four fucking
Yeah,
this of the same saws,
sure.
and but he couldn't keep a roof over his head.
Yeah. Yeah, it was and then there was a lot of funny stories with your dad,
Yeah,
but, nothing that was just us. But that
yeah,
was the only time I remember
yeah,
it
yeah,
was just the
yeah,
3
yeah.
of us. It was really funny. I'm watching the 2 of them, like,
Yeah.
argue over this shit. I'm just standing there like, "Okay, this is weird."
Yeah, but my dad annoyed him. I've seen that. I've seen the other way too, where Gino would just do crazy shit.
Oh,
Like,
drive your father up a wall,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, like kill Bambi. Or, remember that?
That's a good story.
That's a good story. Yeah, I'll save that for another time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, well, I would love to get Gino on this podcast. I don't know if he would do it, but all right. Last two questions I got for you. When you die, if you go to heaven, if heaven exists, what would you want God to say to you?
Everybody's waiting for you, and welcome,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah. Last question. What do you want to be remembered for here on Earth when it's all said and done?
Somebody who I keep saying it, I don't view myself as exceptional in any way, but hopefully I made enough people happy and helped a few people out and that they could look back on me and say, I was glad I knew him.
None of us are exceptional. None of us are.
I don't know why. I always hung up on that. I said, I wish I was really great at one thing.
Yeah.
I'm mediocre at like 1,000 things.
It's. I know you listened to Steve's bananas episode,
Oh yeah.
and it's a similar tone, right? Like he doesn't feel like he did anything great, that he's just a normal guy.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll say the same thing I said to him. You are leaving a legacy of goodness here, right?
Yeah.
What else is there?
Yeah.
Because again, nobody remembers who the seventh president of the United States is. I said that then, and I still actually don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is. My brother would know who that is.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could figure it out, but like off the top of my head, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And that's an exceptional person. So who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Who cares if it's super exciting? Like, so your friend didn't get stabbed when you were 12? Oh, not too bad.
No, no, none of my friends were stabbed when I was 12.
Yeah,
Yes, I
I
give
mean,
it to you.
you didn't kill a dog when you were 17.
No, but you did.
I did, I did. So it doesn't make me exceptional. It makes me fucking stupid. But yeah, anyway. All right, man. You got anything else for me?
No, no, I enjoyed this. I definitely didn't think I was going to do this. I don't know why, but I didn't have anything. I don't have any real good dirt anyway. So what
No,
difference does
I
it
love it. I think it's great. I think people are going to enjoy
make?
it.
Salt of the earth type people.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Everybody, listen, Joe. People would love to have your life and there's a lot of people that can relate to it.
Hey, that's good.
I I think you underestimate yourself. But anyway,
Probably a little.
yeah. All right, but buddy, thank you for doing it. I
Thank
love
you.
it. I love you.
Love you
I
too.
miss you. I miss you. We do have to hang out more.
I agree.
That's both our faults.
100%.
Yeah, not one person's fault. But I'll blame you. I'll blame Stephanie.
I would blame Stephanie too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
she's a bitch.
Yes.
I'm not gonna tell her. We're not gonna. We're gonna leave that
We're
in.
going to leave that in.
Yeah.
Please. Yes. Please leave that in.
All right. All right. All right. That's all I got for now. Until next time,
Thank you.
I'm out. Peace.